So I told them, I was like, well, the problem is that you have too much oxygen in the fusion chamber. You can't just, oh, hey everybody, hi, how's everybody going? Oh, game award season is here. I've so my game of the year, I think, is probably Baldur's Gate. Still, it was that good.
Oh yeah.
Just gonna carry it over.
So the Game Awards. Okay, so obviously it's the time of year where everyone wants to see, their favorite game nominated, and not only that, but also upcoming releases for next year. And obviously, since E4 isn't around anymore, E3, my bad, E3.
E3.
E3 is not around anymore.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is
is
very dead now.
Yeah, apparently the Game Awards is the place to be, besides Summer's Games Fest, to show off, trailers of what's coming uh, next year. But there's been some discussion about how, oh God, what's his name?
Keeley, Knightley. Keeley? No, it's Jeff Keeley.
Jeff
What am I
Keighley.
thinking Knightley for?
Jeff Keighley
Yeah,
has been Hollywoodizing the Game Awards. It,
just a little bit. Yeah,
yeah, he's been bringing in celebrities, and I wouldn't well, to be fair, I don't really pay that much attention to the Game Awards. I only pay attention to, like, was it interesting game releases, and if anything happened of note, like certain controversies. But I'm not really sure how exactly it's been Hollywoodized, except the actor part. Like, he has really been inviting a lot of actors into the Game Awards to, like, announce winners and to announce projects and stuff.
I think what they mean is the like is like the way that it's done, like the format of it, and that is I would agree. Um, it does, like, visually, if you just turn the sound off and you're just like watching it, it does look like a Hollywood thing. Like, it doesn't actively look like a non Hollywood thing. It is super just a straight up, this is Hollywood, kind of like glitz and glamour. And I think that I don't think that's really how it should have been done, but I think he would have had to have run into like more like consternation, because like if you're like, hey, we're gonna have like a game award ceremony, and we're not gonna have like, we're gonna change the way that we do everything, and we're just gonna like we're gonna try and like have some newfangled way of like hosting it while everybody's in, I don't know, like set up like one of those live LARPing things, like one of the big ones where there's tens of thousands of people that show up in like cosplay or outfits, and then they spend a whole week in character. Those things, like they're they're really cool, and there's some really amazing locations that they go to like do these things at. But I don't think he would have gotten off the ground if it was anything other than a standard, stereotypical, super normal, super safe, generalized experience that you might have as, as a,
I mean,
watching any other award show.
I feel like the award show by itself has had its has had its you know mark on some weird stuff. Weird things happen during the game show awards. Like, I think it's been a thing even before actors were involved in in, like, the process.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, and a lot of the things that we have, um, like award shows, like they stem from like traditional education centers, and in some other ways it stems from like military award ceremonies as well, and those have been around for like 500 years.
Mm.
So it's not like, so as far as the visual aesthetic,
I mean,
I don't like that it looks so much like like any other award show, like the
Oh, hold
whatever.
on. Let me go grab some caffeine real quick. Ugh.
Yeah. So I mean I don't really look at it and say, he could have done a better job on that, or I don't like that. I don't like it just in general, but I'm not going to blame him for it because he really didn't have a choice. And some of the other award shows are sort of similar in that way of like, oh yeah, we're going to like do like showcases and stuff like that, and poof, done. And
Mm.
so in that perspective, I would say,
The
yeah, probably makes sense that they did it that way.
what
The
that's not the main crux of it. It was just
Yeah,
a sign
yeah,
of what was to come. Because if you actually look at the judges that are
yeah,
that are now involved in the Game Awards, and might I add, the judges have 90% of the vote
yeah,
for the
which is
Game
totally
Awards,
totally wrong. Absolutely,
and
hands
gamers
down.
gamers only have 10%.
Yeah, hands down, one of the worst decisions ever. I don't know why he decided that. It should have, at the absolute minimum, the general gaming audience needs about 50%. Now, I understand that there's some issues with like, well, how do we count votes properly? How do we do X, Y, and Z? And for that, I would say, well, it's highly likely that it's just going to boil down to us needing to come up with a way of like registering people for accounts. And the easiest way that I could see them doing that is having some kind of like have to have been a member for X amount of time, or have to have had X number of hours time played as a gamer on video games in the Nintendo store shop slash thing, the PlayStation, the Xbox, the Steam, and Epic. Like if I were going to do it, I would do it that way, where it's like you have to have an active account that's been there for quite a few years. You got to be over 18. Um, and then
I was gonna say we don't really need all that just to make sure that someone can vote in the.
doesn't
But
yeah
then I was
well
like,
and
oh yeah, troll accounts can
yeah
spam a winner.
yes, and bot accounts. You don't want
Yeah.
to encourage or incentivize bot accounts to flood Steam or to flood Xbox or whatever. It's like I want there to be some kind of a limitation. Like I think maybe you can't vote on Steam if you haven't spent at least like $300 on video games.
Yeah.
Which is super easy to do. All you have to do is like have an account for like 3 years, and then boom, you're there. Or pick up I don't know, pick up a one of these other pick up one what is it, Sony and Ubisoft game. Yeah, buy one of each of those, and then you're already at the $300. Absolute
Jeez.
garbage.
But
Um, but yeah, no, I think that's the only other way that you probably could have done that. Yes, it would have given some people essentially five different ways to vote, but I think you have to kind of factor that in. Like you kind of have to.
mm,
And this is something that I think they could do. It's not like this is like, oh, this is game over and they're never going to be able to do this again. Blah blah blah. It's like no. They're kind of close. Um, yeah. So it's just a matter of like trying to like figure that all out and whatnot.
I
Um,
guess. But my issue is with the judges itself. I mean, don't get me wrong. Trying to count player vote is its own
hmm
thing. But what I have an issue is who the judges are.
hmm
Now I'm just gonna read
Right.
off. I'm just gonna read off the names. So it's IGN, Inverse, Jeff. What does that say? Jeff Grestman show. I don't even know who that is.
I don't know who that
I
is. He
don't even.
shouldn't
I don't
be.
know what
He
Inverse
shouldn't be on
is.
that list
I
because
don't know
he's
who that is.
yeah.
Uh,
Inverse. I think it's like a used to be like a magazine or some
uh,
garbage like that.
kind of funny. I'm assuming that's a magazine of some kind. I don't
No,
know what
kind
that
of
is.
funny is those are like it's like a comedy. I believe they started out as like a comedy YouTube channel, but yeah, if you're not constantly reviewing games, like I mean, I don't even want people
Okay.
who constantly review games having a lion share in the voice for this.
All
So
right.
that in and of itself is like, no.
LA Times,
Yeah, absolutely not. They can go,
who don't even know what the fuck games are. No offense.
yeah, yeah, no, that is at the LA Times being on that list is like me saying, "Hey, we need to get to Mars. So we're gonna we have to get to Mars to build a super laser to take out an asteroid that's headed towards Earth." Um, and I'm definitely gonna bring the writers of The Simpsons.
The
It's like
writers of The Simpsons. Yeah.
no, what? They have nothing to do with us. They can write off, you know, go away.
There's.
Try not to swear.
I know. Sorry, I kind of let an F bomb slip in there. My bad. Min Max. I don't know
I,
what
I think I
that
think
is.
I think MinMax is a gaming magazine and it has been for a while.
Mm,
I think, and the fact that I don't know again kind of screams that probably shouldn't be on that list. Like
yeah.
generally, no, don't like it.
PC Gamer. They're reliable. Polygon.
PC Gamer, I mean, not recently. Their articles recently have been kind of garbage. Um, but normally I would say yeah, they could have a voice because they do cover a lot of games and they have been pretty good for a long period of time. But yeah,
Side said, "Hey, the Simpson writers are pretty good at predicting events. You know, fair." Oh, oh no, I lost it. Was it Polygon? Because Polygon needs to
hmm
be there. Venture Beat. You
no.
know,
Again, just no.
what is Venture
Like
Beat?
it's another like it started out as a magazine. Now they're a website and news aggregate. They just cover like
Uh,
stories and crap like that.
uh,
At one point, I think they were about like investments or like trying to like highlight companies that
oh
were
God,
suggesting nudge, nudge, hint, hint, wink, wink, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
the
not a fan.
The Verge.
Um, yeah, absolutely not. No, they
Uh,
have they have they have absolutely no voice in gaming. They can go away.
Touch Arc, Touch Arcade.
Again, kind of like a smallish publication type thing. Not deserving of being there. Absolutely not.
What's Good Games?
Oh, again, I think it's sort of a newer, smaller company. I say smaller, and then there turns out they're probably owned by like Microsoft and Sony and
Mm.
EA and Ubisoft, and they're all like it's just a fluff piece magazine. I don't know if it is. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying it's like this is what you get when you put in a bunch of people that nobody has any clue about.
Game Rant.
Gamerant's been around for a while. I would I would normally accept their positioning, but again, it's like only if it was like 10 to 20% of the vote. Like, and even
NPR.
then,
What is
PR, NPR.
what is that?
Uh, I gotta check what that name means. But it's National Public Radio. Okay, National Public Radio.
Oh,
Um,
are they gonna broadcast?
only only if they hosted um votes and then they voted as per the votes that they hosted. So they opened the floor because the public radio is like technically it's like if if you wanted to you could go down to you're supposed to be able to like go down and petition yourself to have like a certain amount of time dedicated to a topic or to a person or like host a thing in your local area. um and so it's like yeah, generalized good concept, but i think it's more I think it's run by bureaucracy now, so I kind of don't like that idea. So
Mm.
yeah. Like,
Pride.com. Oh, sorry.
uh, yeah, again with this whole like, um, you're not 100% about gaming, are you? You're about other things. It's like, who you want to voice in game? It's like, that's what the public vote is for. Like that's what everybody being able to have a vote is. You're not special because you cover something that's not video gaming. Like in the category of like handing out awards, it's like absolutely not. Like again, it's like that has about as much to do with video game, voting on which video game has left a mark on society or culture, or has done like really really well in the memes and like like the attention of the public eye, as like plumbers do. It's like sure, it's an important thing over there, but it's not supposed to be here. Like, we don't pull in the National Council of Plumbers just because Mario and Luigi were plumbers, and we're like, well, there's a connection. It's like, no, it has nothing to do. It doesn't have anything to do with deciding which who had the best role in a captured character story. It's like, no, that's not what. No, again, it's like almost every single one of these are flat out straight up no. You're not in the industry.
That's not the final judge. The final
Yeah.
judge is Variety magazine.
And Variety can right off. Absolutely not. The Variety probably doesn't make sense out of almost all of these. I haven't. I can't ever remember hearing Variety talk about video games at all. Like, at all. Let alone, in this category. Like, what?
And
Absolutely not.
mind you, these are magazines and article writers for magazines. I don't know what to call them. I guess just writers. The writers for
Journalists.
these journalists. Let's go with that. Sure. Uh, First of all, some of these journalists are from magazines that don't even cover video games. So it's like, how do we know these journalists are? Maybe they're gamers on their off time. Who fucking knows? Oh, sorry. Who freaking knows? But it's just literally Variety. Like, and then it's not even just. It's not just the. Was it these? I was gonna say publishers. That's not it. These media outlets that aren't even involved in gaming. It's also PC Gamer, Polygon, and Game Rants, and we're in a time where gamers don't trust game journalists because they all spout the same stuff all
Yeah.
the time. So the distrust there is very prevalent. Even IGN, I can't forget about IGN. Like, these are all bought and paid for media outlets that
Like, you'll occasionally see that like a failed game like Concord will get a 7 out of 10 by some stupid site, and then you'll have a game that does extraordinarily well, has a huge fan following, is is given an actual positive review, but because they're not owned by a big giant corporation, they get a 6 out of 10. And it's like, excuse me, what? That doesn't even make sense. Concord got a 7 out of 10. It was a complete and total failure from every perspective, by everybody. Not even the people who made the game supported the game. And you know that because on launch day there were fewer people playing the game than there were people in the studio. It's like that should have been an absolute bare minimum, but it wasn't. It's like guys, what in the world is going on? Why is your voting system just completely out to lunch? And that's why nobody trusts the game journalists, because they're saying stuff that just doesn't make sense. And they're just like, it's just like,
They're
oh,
they're obviously pushing a viewpoint that doesn't align with gamers, and that just brings up the question: are the Game Awards for gamers? Because from what I've seen from the judges, who have not supported gamers at all, uh, from the side of actually being was it gaming magazines or gaming outlets, actually being gaming outlets, to not even being involved in games in the first place. You have that. Plus, they have the 90% vote of the Game Awards.
yeah.
Are like, so it just really brings into question, is the Game Awards even for the gamers? Which, isn't that what he touted it as, like the Game Awards bringing it back for the gamers? Am I
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
in thinking that?
Yeah, because previously the company that was running E3, their little like their whole system was run by people who definitely were not gamers, and in most cases had never actually even played a video game at all. And how many times have we seen that? Like how many times did we see, who was the one guy? One guy got promoted to like this upper like C-suite level employee, and he came from an industry that had absolutely nothing to do with video games, and he had absolutely no experience in video games, and he didn't even play video games, and they're like, hey, you're in charge of this like important division that's in charge of like what the gamers think. And it's like, again, it's like, you just you this is just so terrible on so many levels. You do not understand, nor do you conceive anything to do with this. I am absolutely flabbergasted and insulted by the sheer concept. It's just like, oh, crying out loud. It's
It's
bad.
just
It's just bad.
it's just almost laughable, because the Game
Mm-hmm.
Awards was built on the fact that E3, was it E3?
Mm-hmm.
E3 was going through favoritism, and it
Oh yeah,
wasn't, the system didn't work, and so
yeah.
they made the Game Awards the place to be, to show off video games as a passion, as a hobby that people love. Like, it is an art form that deserves recognition. In fact, games as a medium, or as a media, it outshines everything else. It outshines music. It outshines TVs and movies. Any type of media, video games is at the top. And for some reason, we feel the need to go to Hollywood and say, Hollywood, please accept us into your elitism. It's like, that's not why we created the Game Awards, from what Jeff Keighley said. Like, that's not the reason. The reason why we made it is to bring it back to what we loved about video games. But even then,
Mm-hmm.
look, it seems like we're losing our way already. We're relying on unreliable journalists to decide game of the to make these decisions, like in these almost kind of important categories, and like music, score, acting, and in, was it game of the year? It just really baffles me, because it's like, it's supposed to be a place of substance, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, we like the Game Awards has a lot of hit and misses when it comes to like entertaining and stuff like that, and trying to deliver a good show. It's a hit or miss sometimes. I understand that. But it feels like we're veering off from what was first intended. It's just, it seems like Jeff Keighley is appealing to the normie side. I hate to say that, but people who don't play
No,
video
no, he's
games.
not. Yeah, he's not. No, he's not. The He's not appealing to the people who are normal. That aren't normal, or that are normal, or whatever. What he's appealing to is the corporate mega interests, which is exactly the problem that
which
happened with Hollywood and with E3.
which is not the which is why I said what I said earlier. Video games outmatches Hollywood and the music industry, which are both big giants in itself. It goes to show how big gaming has become. Yet for some reason we feel like, oh, gaming's not popular enough, and so we have to. And this is someone else said, and I think they're 100% right. It's weird that we're prostrating ourselves as if we're not the big giant that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to appeal to a different audience like Hollywood in order to be popular, quote unquote. But we already are. We reached the stars already. We're outpacing everybody as a medium. Like what there's we are the top. We are relevant, or at least the gaming industry is relevant. Sorry if I kept saying we, but the gaming industry is relevant. Hollywood isn't. If you've actually pay attention to the news, Hollywood has been losing relevancy. In fact, they need probably need us to help like vitalize Hollywood because of how bad it's gotten. Which is probably why this happened. I don't fucking know. Oh, sorry, I don't freaking know. But we don't need that. Do you know what I mean? Like we can just have a show celebrating games as is. We don't really need to cater to people who don't play video games. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just. Oh, hi, Blunt Man. Welcome in. But yeah, it's just very frustrating. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. Oh my. I have a problem with the host. She's too cute. Oh my. Gaming industry will shrink soon, but not as much as Hollywood. I mean, even if there was a gaming crash, which I feel like is probably on the verge of, I don't think it's going to affect as badly as I don't think it's going to affect it very badly, honestly. But I despite the was it the weird the weird was it structure of the game awards, I also want to turn attention to the game of the year nominees.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have Astro Boy. I've not played that game, but a lot of people's was it a Nintendo game?
I think so.
I haven't played it, but it looks like a it looks almost similar to Mario with the like platformer esque kind of thing going on. I haven't played it. It didn't really capture my interest, so I didn't really.
So I was obsessed with this show as a kid, like as a young kid. Like like when I think this is some of my like first memories, and I hate to say that because that makes me sound extremely old, but yeah, Astro Boy is one of those games where it's like I wish I could have been playing this like 3 decades ago. As I was really surprised that it came out, and I haven't even had a chance to like actually look at it at all. But yeah, very interesting that it actually came out and is doing as good as it is. And gee, I sure wish it was on Steam.
Oh, I was gonna say I was like I heard that it was very popular, but other than that, I didn't really have. Like I said, I didn't even know what type of game it was. I just heard that it was popular and people were interested in it.
Hmm.
And then there's Balatro, and I'm like, what the heck is Balatro? Because I have not heard that title at all. So I'm like, what is that? It turns out it's a card poker game,
Yeah.
and
Um,
apparently it's really addicting.
yeah. It's I so I looked into it, and you know those memes that people do of like it's like 1 hour of playing this game, 5 hours of playing this game, 1 day of playing this game. So I looked into it. Apparently, if you start playing this, and then you're left in your room to play the game, and then like your significant other or a loved one comes in to check on you 3 hours later, your wall is going to be covered in cards, and you're going to be drawing lines or pulling string from one card to the next to different packs. You're going to be sitting there going, right, so the four of clubs and the jack of hearts, and then the two of spades, and it's absolutely terrifying how quickly this game will turn people into addicted, crazed, like um uh solitaire type junkies. Where it's like person can't get anything done in their day at work until they've played at least 15 minutes of this, game to get going. So it's like that. It's that kind of level of like craziness. I've seen a
Huh.
bunch of videos of people basically saying the same thing. It's like don't get into this game. It's crazy. I don't know how it gets that addictive, and I'm not going to find out because I have way too much stuff to do. There there are just some games that I cannot get into. One of them was Minecraft. Never touched it. Never will. Um, what's that other one everybody's always telling me to play? The like all the like the oh yeah, the PUBGs, like the PUBGs. I had to stop myself from playing Fortnite. It was not good. I was wasting way too much time.
Is it really that addicting? Like for real?
That's what I'm told. That it's hyper addicting, and that you will like you just will keep playing it like as much as you possibly can.
Hmm. Well,
So
I also heard that it was a very addicting game, but I've never I didn't know it existed until I heard the nominees list. And I was
right.
like, what the heck is this? But apparently it's good enough to be on the game of the year, a game of the year contender, which I'm like, really? This is good is this okay. Black
Um
Oh, sorry.
so just generally it's like I can see why they give you special, like there's a whole bunch of like support for the game, and there's a whole bunch of stuff for the game. Just scanning through the people reviewing it, it's full of nothing but like I browsing 85,000, yes, 85,000 reviews on Steam. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, that's insane. I can't even find a negative review of this game.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
I've just been scrolling for the last like 30 seconds here, and I can't, there's not one single thumbs down. It is all thumbs up. So I would say in that category it's like, yeah, that makes sense, and it is nice that they kind of cover this kind of stuff. Um I think though, honestly, I would say that
I have
mm,
I
I
have
would say that Ultramarine or Space Marine 2 belongs up here. Like,
I was gonna say I
top
have
four.
thoughts on these, but I was gonna wait until I have said all the nominees before I got into it.
Oh, okay, sure, sure. Let's do that.
But I just wanted to say I didn't know what Balatra was until it was a nominee, and that is, a note to keep in mind. Now there's Black Myth Wukong. I was actually surprised that it was a nominee for this year because of all the controversy behind it. Not that it was a deserved controversy. The gaming journalists lost their minds because for some
Mhm.
reason they just didn't like Black Myth Wukong, and they were trying to push the narrative that Black Myth Wukong was like a bad game, you shouldn't play it is and stuff like that. When that's further from the truth. It's actually very artistically well done. It is a master. Well, I wouldn't say not everything's a masterpiece, but I would say for this, it's like a 9 out of 10. It is very well made. It is a very good game. And I played a little bit of it. I didn't make it, I didn't make it that far. I think I made it to chapter 2 or chapter 3. But what I saw was spectacular. Like, the gameplay is very challenging. Well, not like very, very challenging. It's challenging. It has challenging gameplay, which I do appreciate. Like, yeah, people get frustrated, but I like a challenge. It was very, like, the armor designs are beautiful. The enemy designs are always changing and very interesting. And they have different, fighting styles. And it's not just that, even, like, the cutscenes and the story are so well done. There's, between chapters, they do cutscenes, but each cutscene is a different type of animation, which I love. Like, the first animation that I saw was a regular 2D animation, but it was with, watercolor paints? It was a watercolor painted 2D animation. It was beautiful. And then the next cutscene I saw was 3D animation. Oh, sorry, not 3D animation. My bad. It was not 3D animation. It was claymation. It was a claymation cutscene. And that blew my mind, because you don't see claymation cutscenes in video games, like, ever. And I thought that was very ingenious. I was like, that was so clever. And the stories were really interesting. They are so good. It was very well done. And here I am harping about Black Myth Wukong. It just deserves to be here, but because of all the hate it got from gaming journalists and gaming media, like, I was worried it wasn't going to be on here. But I'm glad to see that at least this made it on here. Have you played Black Myth Wukong?
I have not, and I do have to agree with the comment in the chat. I don't like. I understand it from a writing perspective. I understand the character. I understand the archetype. I understand the conceptual idea behind Wukong. The thing that I don't understand, and again, I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the character. I don't understand why everybody is always so fascinated with with Wukong. I just don't get it. I really don't get why he is so revered, so loved. Whenever there's a game that comes out with it, so I'm playing this one, like, phone game. I always keep, like, one phone game rolling at a time. It's one phone game I got. So yeah, this phone game has a whole bunch of characters from myth and history and all this kind of stuff. And strangely, it has not one, but two Wukongs in it. Two different versions of Wukong. And again, I'm just sitting here going, I don't like, why out of all the characters do they have two different versions of the same character who does all of the same moves? Like, I don't get people's obsession with it. In League of Legends, Wukong's like one of the best characters that you can play. He's never ever been nerfed. He's always ridiculously strong.
The Chinese market.
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It's so
the Chinese market.
So I legitimately do understand why, like, the character. Like, I understand it from a narrative perspective. He's a warning to those that are hypocritical or that are too serious and all this other stuff. But I just, like, he's like kind of like Loki in a few ways, I guess you could say. And I don't understand, like in no other culture is a prankster Joker god elevated to such high insane levels of, like, this is the best written character ever to exist. It's like,
I mean, I don't know, Loki's up there too. I feel like, well, not to
when he's done right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say up to the popularity, it seems, of Wukong, but Loki as a trickster god is also up there.
Yeah, but it's like I just don't get it. I've never and I agree with Trick and it's like I don't understand the fascination around him of like, oh my god, he's the best character ever to be written, and it's like I
I
just
don't
don't get that.
I
He
can't
doesn't.
say I can't say was it that he's a good character from the perspective of a mythological standpoint because I don't know the story of Journey to the West. I haven't read it. I haven't seen it. I feel like there was a movie adaptation. I could be wrong, but
Oh yeah,
I haven't.
there's been so Jackie Chan played him in a movie with a whole bunch of very very famous actors, and it was like decent, but again, it's like the like I don't get the story. So and I don't want to like focus too much on that.
Yeah.
Is the game good on this list? Absolutely, it is. Yes, no, like again, I totally understand the game. Like I get why mechanically it's a good game with good combat. The combat's really good. The visuals are stunning. They've got some really they're pushing amazing effects and stuff like that, and that is great. That's why games deserve to get up onto into these positions, and I 100% think that that this game deserves to be in a nomination for this year. I would, for me, it's a toss up. We'll save my vote for the end. So yeah, keep going.
Metaphor Refantasio.
Yeah, great game. I
Is that a new game or
I
was it
I
released for PC?
no, I'm pretty sure that was a new game that was out this year. I don't think this is a re-release because this is an actual like I think this has actually got I lean heavily towards that it's actually one of the
Because
it's one of the new entries.
I have not heard of this game
Damn.
until people have started talking about it around the time of the Game Awards nominees.
Ah, no, I've been aware of this game for like last year and a half. It's been ramping up like a lot.
Hmm. Well,
I
I have seen.
and I think it's one of I think it is I think so I haven't had a chance to actually play it. Um Partially because this thing is over like $100 Canadian, so it's like okay, that's a lot. Um, you know, uh, so yeah, no, I think it deserves. I think this is the one that will probably win. Um, yeah, I think this one will probably win. I think it's
Um.
highly likely to take the award.
I would actually. I don't believe that. Me personally, I don't believe that. But that's just my opinion. Is my opinion correct? No, but it's just my
I'm not
opinion.
saying this is not the one I would have voted
Mm.
uh, for the best this year, but I totally understand, and I think it's probably like in my head, I think it's probably like second place, like and these are all like between mine and like the top like five games of this year. I think it's incredibly close. I think we're only talking about a slight difference
Mm-hmm.
between like it's not like like last year with Larian. It's like Larian won by a
Yeah.
blankety blank mile. Like in a mile dash race, it won by a mile.
Yep.
It
Yep.
was like they pulled the trigger and just like the Flash, they were already down across that finish line going, "Yeah, we're here." It's like 100%. This year, really tight.
Oh
Like
yeah.
genuinely like really tight. I think year before last year too, it was very tight. It was a lot of really good games that were really close, and it was like, oof, that's tough. And then there was one garbage one, but yeah, that's the way it normally goes. But yeah, metaphor I think deserves metaphor. I think will probably pick it up because it's a beast of a game. It's got enormous amount of content to it. and it is really, really well liked by everybody who plays it. So
I can respect
I
that.
pray, yeah.
Even though it was never on my radar, I've heard good things about Metaphor, and I've seen some clips here and there, and I think someone was streaming it on Twitch, and I saw a little bit of it, and it seemed pretty interesting. So
The soundtrack is amazing. The storyline apparently is like very, very, very good. And I would say, and like, had a good list of characters. My biggest gripe for it and why I would not vote this for Game of the Year is because it's one of these games where it's like you're this close to just giving us a character creator and letting us like design our own character. Can we please start having, especially in the metaphor, like in the Persona and Metaphor games, it's like for the love of God, can you please give me the option to just create my own like character?
yeah,
I don't I do not want to play another young adolescent very like very like standard uh main character, right? Like
yeah,
he's very bland. He's bland because you're supposed to be able to connect with him because, if he has no personality, then you put your own personality into it. And it's like, yeah, no, no, please. For the love of
now
God, please.
I've played RPGs where I can play characters how I want to, but I've also played RPGs where the character has a set personality and like has set preferences of like what they want to do sometimes, and it usually gives the character, I don't know, it helps give the character some flavor, I guess. Gives it a little more pizzazz to work with when you're role playing, which I uh which I like sometimes. Because you can only play the same type of character you usually play in RPGs for so long. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, so for me, I like so I almost always play about the same character. I've had a character that I've played that's very prevalent in my mind. Um, Basically my alter ego, and I play that character all the time. In every RPG I play, if I can't make that character or something that looks closely like that character, I really struggle playing the game, and I really get annoyed with the overall experience pretty quickly. I don't really care about this, and it's tough for me to like get like hyper into it.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's like there is some games where it's like that it gets better and it's like there's a vast improvement and whatnot. But just generally speaking, it's like, yeah, no, I don't click with I can't click with a game that doesn't allow me to play the experience that I want. So yeah,
Yeah.
I tend not to stick with them very much.
Now,
But there are other games like Skyrim. Skyrim, I will play um, a character generator story, and by that I mean I have a character that I'm writing about. So I kind of create them. I put them, literally drop them into a situation where they're in that story, and then I kind of play out their story from their perspective. But Skyrim is the
hmm,
only game that I do that in.
yeah. I mean, Skyrim kind of gives you the room to do that, which is,
Hmm.
I think, some RPG players, really appreciate. But sorry, we kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah,
But
all right.
the last two nominees are what I think are a little more controversial. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now,
Uh, Absolutely not.
well, some people say that it shouldn't be a Game of the Year contender because it is part of was it
It's part of a
it's a
relaunch,
remake.
a
It's a
remake.
remake.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a remake, and you can say that, well, in the game it splits off from the original storyline and it's its own thing. But it's a it's a remake. It's a remake.
yeah, yeah. No, it not only is it a remake, it's what is it like part two in the
Mhm.
remake, or is it part three?
It's part 2.
Okay, so this is part two. So again, I I I I have to lean heavily to no, because because they are definitely playing around. Square Enix is playing around with this idea that they could just get multiple games of the year by splitting up the game into what is it gonna be end up being? Like 5 parts, 4 parts? Like
I
and
wouldn't put it past them.
and this is making the Final Fantasy series as a whole like really lag behind. Like I mean, guys, could we not have wrapped up that experience into 2 parts, like part one, part two, please, thank you, and then go remake number four, like number four, number five, like for the love of, like, please, can can Final Fantasy move on past Cloud? Like really? I mean, I am sick of this character. Just generally in a cultural reference. Again, he's incredibly bland. He doesn't really have that much of a personality in the form of like in the shape of like the overall arcing story and characters within that story. So it's like there's way like Tifa's really interesting. Seth Roth or whatever his name is a very interesting villain, very good villain. There's a whole bunch of different characters that are way better than he is because they actually have something to them where him as a character, it's not about him, it's about the player putting themselves into his role. So
Okay.
he has interesting things happen to him in the scope of the story, and then your reaction to that is very interesting. But that's not Cloud, that's the player is having those interesting experiences, and this is really good. This is really good from a narrative standpoint. Like this is a good way of making a video game. Totally is. You do this with Zelda. Zelda's the exact same thing. um Link, not Zelda. Zelda is a very interesting character. The character of Link, when you remove the player, is this bumbling, I hate to say it, but like mentally handicapped child that wanders around and plays with explosives. Like it's like if you've ever seen like the really unflattering cartoons of Link, where he's like
Oh,
this
yeah.
absolute idiot. It's like, yeah, it's like that. It's like that's when you remove the player playing Link is what makes Link in, especially the recent games, an actually interesting character. He's not an interesting character in and of himself. So, and again, it's like I'm gonna make people mad here, but Gordon Freeman, same thing. He's interesting when you, the player, are playing him as a character. He's interesting then. If you remove the player, he's literally a guy who doesn't say anything. He
Hmm.
just
I
stands
mean,
there.
yeah.
It's like, and that's why it's hard to make a movie about him. And
Uh
that's why it's hard to make a movie about some of these characters because the minute that you
oh
do,
God,
you have to.
did you see the link the Legend of Zelda anime or animation cartoon?
Yes, I did, and I really like that because they gave him more story. Then the Link has way more story in that show, but they didn't like it because it gave him a voice and it gave him a personality, and they didn't like that.
Hmm.
And that's the actual creators didn't like that, and I
Oh.
completely disagree with them. I'm like, because again we've played, so we and I'll say, like, this is again, this is not a bad gameplay mechanic. Looks like Skyrim does the exact same thing. It's totally fine. But if you want an interesting character that holds the audience's attention, then you make a Commander Shepard, right? And Commander Shepard showed us that you can do that amazingly well. Probably one of the best protagonists in gaming history ever. And why is he good? Because he's good whether you play him as a male or as a female. He's good if you play him as a bad guy or a good guy. It like the amount of story there. Like, God bless the writers, because that showed that you don't have to have a preset character. And that's what I feel a lot of these games are. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that the character, when you remove that player experience, the actual character that you're left with is kind of like a really deadpan, uninteresting character that's really actually quite terrible. And if you play a game, that say you play a game where you're playing as Darth Vader, and you're playing through Darth Vader's, after he switched and fell to the dark side. It's like you could play his story and it would be amazing. And that experience would be really, really cool. Him slowly, plotting against his master, the personality that he has. It's like you could do that, and that would be amazing. I don't, and I'm not saying that the I don't want people to remove those kinds of characters where it's completely based off of you putting yourself into it. It's like no, you definitely that's definitely a good thing. You want to do that because that is what is going to make the characters great. Because because that's good from a gameplay perspective. But when we're doing like awards for like characters and stuff like that, it's like they get a little old when you're trying to talk up the character, and that's what Square Enix does. Square Enix thinks that it's one of its greatest characters that it's ever written is Cloud. No, it's not. You have about 15,000 other characters in the Final Fantasy universe that are 1,000 times better as a character without the player. And I think that's really, really like they are really missing out on this because there are some absolutely amazing characters that they could be covering, that they could be making, but they're just stuck on remaking Final Fantasy VII for apparently the next 15 years.
Yeah, that reminds me of Disney where they're like remaking the same movies that don't really need a remake, but then you have
Yeah.
like all these other Disney movies in the backlog that could actually benefit with having like a live action remake, but they're like
Yeah.
they're like collecting dust on the shelf like the Black Cauldron and
Oh
Disney
yeah.
movies like that.
Oh yeah.
But
100%. And it's just to me it's like again when it comes to the Game of the Year awards, Final Fantasy, not that it's not that this game isn't good. It's that this game is the second part to a 4 or 5 part series, and you already won lots of awards for the last version of this that came out. You're sucking up the air out of the room. I would 100% replace Final Fantasy Rebirth with Stellar Blade. 100%.
okay,
It's what deserves to be there, period.
okay, yeah, okay. We're like slightly jumping the gun because I was gonna bring
I
those
know,
up,
I know,
but
I know, I know. I'm sorry.
But Bluntman actually makes a good point. He actually does make a the original story left the building at the end of the last game. It's only pretending to be a remake. So I think he has a point because by the end of the first game, did it have a different name? It was like a Final Fantasy 7. Did it say remake? Or is that what it's called? But by the end of the game it split off like it ended with a different cutscene, it ended with a different storyline, and it changed things so to the story. So the second game I think follows a totally different storyline than the original game.
Yeah, but I think I think it's like mm, nah. To me like I do get that, but to me this is part two in a series,
mm.
and like you might
I,
say, well then what's the difference between Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, right?
I see your
And
point. I see your point. I know what you're
yeah,
saying.
so yeah, so it is
Like
kind of messy that way.
how many times are we going to see Final Fantasy 7 on Game of the Year?
Yeah,
Is it going to be
and
every
that's
year?
my
Is it going to be every year?
see if they had redone number 5 or number 4 and it was as good as this one is, I would say yeah, of course, obviously. Like it's a completely different game. And even the difference between Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, those are different games. Um I think there's less of a difference between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. So I don't know. That is a good point. I kind of agree. It's very yeah.
Okay, so finally we have Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. Now, obviously, the problem with this is that it's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, it is an
Yeah.
expansion of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's DLC. Now, people are saying that it's as big as a regular game. It's bigger than Elden Ring. You have to buy Elden Ring first in order to play Shadow of the Erd Tree. Sorry, say Urge, but Shadow of the Erd Tree. Like, it is an expansion. It is DLC. It's extra content. It's not its own game. But for some reason, they have it as a Game of the Year contender. Now, this sets a very dangerous precedent for the gaming industry, because it just reminds me of how Far Cry 5, the one where there was like this weird cult in the mountains of Montana, Minnesota, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but there was a cult taking over a town, and people had to fight back against the cult, and they had a DLC expansion which was like its own game, but it was a DLC. I forgot what it was called. But it takes place in like a was it nuclear apocalyptic version of the town after a nuke hit the town. Hold on. Far Cry 5 DLC. It's not Lost on Mars. What is it? What was it? Oh, I guess it wasn't. Was it not a DLC? Was it its own thing?
The which?
For Far Cry 5, they had this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They had this expansion.
So I'm pretty sure.
I think New Dawn.
Standalone, but it's sort of under the same thing, the same category. I don't know. You're right. It's a tricky thing, right? And I would say absolutely not. I don't think DLCs or internal game expansions belong anywhere near the game of the year. I don't think that's the way it should be. I think though that there should be a DLC of the year or a game expansion of the year. 100% that needs to be on there. Like it's kind of criminal that they haven't. My personal experience with this this year is you got MechWarrior 5, and they launched the MechWarrior Clan Invasion, which is a standalone product. It's the same game engine, most of the same mechs, most of the same UI elements, most of the same generalized gameplay. Some missions are very similar. So yeah, it's really good. It's really good, but it is not a new. I wouldn't classify it as a new game. I would classify it as essentially a DLC or expansion, because if you allow this to happen, what we might run into is just every year it's just a new expansion for Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
And Elden Ring is, game of the year. It's really, really solid. It's really, really good. For sure. Did it? I think it came out at the same time that I can't remember.
Yeah, New Dawn. Sorry, stop that. I saw that too late. Yeah, it was New Dawn. Oh, for the Far Cry 5 expansion thing. But anyways, yeah, go on.
Yeah, and it's like yeah, no, this is absolutely a good game, a great expansion, but it is not a new game of the year, and I really, really, really don't think that it deserves that. I just generally, I just no. I'm sorry. I don't think it works. I don't think it belongs to be here. No, absolutely not. Doesn't work.
Now with Shadow of the Erd Tree, a DLC expansion being a contender for Game of the Year, is proof, in my opinion, that they were padding out the contenders so that they purposely axed some actual Game of the Year contenders. Helldivers 2, Space Marines 2, Stellar Blade. These games came out this year. Am I right? These games came out this year?
Yeah, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, another really, really good one.
Fair. I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I have heard of Grand Blue Fantasy and I heard good things about it. But for Game of the Year, I think a lot of people would have put Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2, and Stellar Blade.
So
now,
Once Human is very good.
I wouldn't. I don't think that would have been a contender though. I mean, I've heard good things about it. It's just I don't know if that would be a contender as well.
So it's one of the most popular games that released this year. There's over there's almost 120,000 very positive reviews on it. So I would say that, probably deserves some kind of a mention at the very least. Space Marines 2.
Now,
absolutely.
Yeah, so the games I have trouble understanding why they are on here is Balatro and the Erd Tree.
Yeah.
And Shadow of the Erd Tree. I'm like, why are these here? And I'm like, oh, they're just coming up with something to pad out the listing so that the actual contenders can't be on here. Now, you could make a argument saying, well, they can't all be action games. They can't all be third person shooters. Like they have to give some variety. That's I think that's a fair argument. However, with the way that the gaming industry is right now, it seems that gaming media outlets and gamers are not on the same page when it comes to games.
Not.
Yeah, and we're constantly butting heads with each other.
Like where's Helldivers 2? Like Helldivers 2, yes, it's had its ups and downs with its community, but there are 690,000 positive reviews for this game. 690,000. There are games on this list that haven't even sold that number of games, let alone the fact that this is a multi this is a multi platform game. It's like it's huge. Absolutely. Like, and again, Ghost, Space Marine 2, Goose, like if you're gonna do remakes, like excuse me, if you're gonna do remakes, why isn't Ghosts of Tsushima's director's cut on here? Not remakes, but like, you know what I mean. It's like if we're including the DLC to Elden Ring, then Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut should be on here too. It's completely stupid. So yeah, we are not speaking the same thing that these people nominating these games are, and it's very, very, very dumb.
Gentlestone says Balatro is deserving of the spot. It blew up and has a very strong following among its players, especially as a game that was one-man dev team. Wait, what?
Yeah, but so is Helldivers 2. Like, and I'm not saying I think having that game on there is Beltro is I think it's a decent enough game, and I think it does.
I feel like
I think it does deserve to be on there, but I don't know. I'd almost want to have like
I have a feeling that some of the contenders on this list are on here just to pad it out so that certain games are not on the list. That's what I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. So I think that if you had like a single like a different category for like, hit games that like indie hit game, like that's what I would say, indie hit game made by a studio that's either not made a game before or its budget is below a certain amount. And I think that's where that Balatro belongs on that list, 100%. And it probably deserves to win on that list. There were not a lot of other games that would quantify for that. Um, yeah, there's not a lot of other games that really quantify for that. Um, but you're absolutely right. They they are rigging the list. 100% hands down they are rigging the list. And I don't think it's going to serve them very well because again it's like where is Space Marine 2? Like
Like,
you know that deserves to be on here. Stalker
mm,
2 probably I think probably it's although it might be no, it released after November, so I think that's a next year title. Yeah, I think that's going to be a next year title. But like Once Human, Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2, um,
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade, 100% Stellar Blade. Uh, I'd say probably like It Takes Two is really good. Like genuinely it's really good. But probably below because it's a smaller it wasn't made by a massive studio. I probably put that in the indie category. But yeah, like this is somebody screwing with the game.
Right.
And oh yeah, and of
Now,
course Grand Blue Fantasy 2.
n-
Sorry, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I was very very good. Lots of people who were
now,
not regular fans enjoyed that game.
yeah. Now, I'd feel more comfortable. I'm trying to explain my perspective from what I've seen of the gaming industry, the game awards, and where I see it. It feels like I don't feel comfortable with the nominees except for Wukong. I feel like Wukong is deserved on there. Um, I don't feel comfortable with everything else because I can't tell if it's coming from a source of authenticity, or if it's there just to be a placeholder so a game can't be on Game of the Year. That's what I feel like. It's just I don't know if these nominees are there because they are actually deserved to be there, or because they're like, well, I don't want Helldivers 2, I don't want Space Marine 2, I don't want Stellar Blade on there, so we have to pick games to that are not these games. We have to pick games to be in Game of the Year because I don't want to see any of those titles on the nominee list. And they only allowed Wukong to be on there because they knew they were going to get such backlash if Wukong was not on the list for nominee, not on the list for nominee for Game of the Year. So that's what I feel like is going on. Do these games deserve to be on here? Yes, except Erdtree. Yes, except Erdtree. I feel like you can make an argument for all these nominees to be here except for Erdtree. Erdtree is a massive WTF. Like it why is that there? I don't Who thought that that was a good idea? Like if you want to show that corruption is going on somewhere, this is it, because no gamer would ever think a DLC is worth Game of the Year is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
but
And
that's
I think
yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of stupid, honestly. And again, this is them playing with what people like it's them rigging the system because it's about control. I
They even did that.
100% they have kept Space Marine 2 and Stellar Blade out because again it's like these games are big enough that they had a massive impact on gaming culture, and you have to bear that in mind. That's why Belatro probably belongs on the list somewhere. I think there's more. I think I do wish that they had an indie dev, like an indie title, and then probably honestly like like we call them AAA games. So honestly, in my opinion, 100% they should have a AAA game category, AA game category, and indie or single A category. I really think that that's what it is because it's really hard to take a game like like something that's made by a massive studio with hundreds of people and compare it to a game that's made by a single developer. Like that's just so no, that's so difficult. No, and I don't think it belongs there. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, I think that we covered everything regarding the Game Awards until the Game Awards actually comes out and we see even more stuff worth talking about. But let's pivot over to Steam. Steam has changed its rules, dude. Like this talk about like we were talking about how it seems the Game Awards is not gamer friendly. Steam has come out with rules that is definitely consumer friendly for gamers. Now, for a while, it seemed like you would have to buy game passes or DLC, and the game studio or devs would promise, "Well, we promise we'll let you have access to all these DLCs," and then you would buy them, and then you would buy. Was it you would buy the game plus the game pass with the promise of DLCs later on in the future, but then the game shuts down. And it's like, well, okay, so you paid for the game pass, you paid for the DLCs that never happened, and then the game shuts down. Where does that leave the players? Well, Steam actually changed the rules where it sets out very clear guidelines that every game developer has to be very clear on in order for their game to be on Steam. Now, I took some notes about the rules. Now, they must give a release date to the DLC because, as I said in the example before, they would just promise around maybe quarter 4 year like quarter 2 of the year, maybe 2024. We'll see. Like they gave a vague description of when they'll give DLC. Steam specifically says that you must give a date to the DLC or Game Pass. Must be detailed in what the DLC is and when it will be released. So they have to actually know what the DLC and what the Game Pass is in order to release it. Or in order for in order for them to release the game for people to buy. Because if you don't if you can't give a detailed explanation of what's in your DLC, you're not ready to sell it. I think that's literally what they said. If DLC or season pass is canceled, customers must receive a refund. It is mandatory that they receive a refund. And honestly, I freaking love that. I love that so much. Because most of the time when when game devs or studios like end planned DLC and stuff, or even shut down the game, they don't give out refunds. They're really like, oopsie daisy, things happen, hope you guys understand.
yep,
And then run off with the money.
yeah.
But
There's more than one game that I bought the season pass for, and they came out with one cosmetic thing.
ugh,
They added it to the game, and then they were like, "Okay, our season pass is done now." And it's like, "Excuse me,
that was the season
excuse
pass.
me."
Ooh,
That was the season pass. Was a single piece of cosmetic costume
wow.
that you couldn't even wear in combat, and it was like, I don't think you could wear in combat. I'm not sure, but it was like, all right, you absolute turd baskets.
Now if
Very,
they
just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now they did give some leeway for devs because there are some indie studios who want to release their games and want to release content and stuff, but they just have to work on it and they need time. So there is some stipulations for that. Steam said they can delay releasing extra content and DLC. Pardon me. You can only be delayed by 3 months, and it can be extended once. It can be extended once for an extra 3 months. But if they don't meet the deadline, customers must receive a refund. And I freaking love that.
Yeah. It's really good.
God, it just seems like customers have just given. Wait, what? Almost drop F? She's really cute. Oh my. Are you talking about me? I thought you were talking about someone else. Oh my. Anyways, was it? I'm just so happy for that Steam's doing this, because for so long it seems that players have been pardon my French, shafted for a good many years. Years, dude. Oh god, it's been years. We've been mistreated in this way. But honestly, it's because we allowed it to happen. We actually did. Because I feel like some people just took what the devs gave them, and they're like, well, shrug. They just shrugged it off. Well, what you're gonna do about it? And it's like, no, people work hard for their money. They just want to relax, and they hope to relax with this game as entertainment, to distract themselves and just to have fun. And they spend money on this product only for them to not even get their product. That's called, isn't that fraud? Isn't that fraud?
That most certainly is a certain level of fraud that for some reason big corporations have a real bad habit of getting away with.
See,
It's
I'm
very strange how that happens. It's like if I defrauded a bank, I'd be in jail tomorrow. If and in other cases, if a bank defrauds me or a big multi-million dollar company defrauds me, like, you'll be lucky if you ever even see that money again. It's like, let alone them going to jail. That's ridiculous. The fact that any of them would go to jail is just like laughable.
And it brings up a lot of issues, right? Uh, it brings up the issue of owning your games. That has been an issue for a while now, because it seems like developers and publishers have been working hard to make gamers not be owners of their games that they purchase. It seems like they've been taking ownership away of the product that you paid for, which has been happening since the moment they got rid of physical copies. The moment they got rid of physical copies, they have been slowly chipping away to the point where now playing a game, when you buy a game, you're just buying a license to play a game. And I'm like, so you don't even own it? Like, that's how far it's gotten. And it's getting really, really ridiculous. You can't even, in some cases, they won't even allow you to mod games. The game that you purchased, you're not allowed to mod it or change it in any way. It's getting to that. I've heard some news articles of that happening, and it's just ridiculous that I cannot stand it. So it brings up that, and it also brings up the fact that there is no protection for gamers. There's no protection of the law to protect gamers from such fraud acts that these game developers are doing. I wouldn't say developers, but these game studios have been exercising, and which is highly illegal, and they know it. But obviously they won't say it. They know it, but they use it as a way to milk money out of gamers, because they know gamers are not protected by the law. So they're using that. That just pisses me off. Like, that is so disgusting.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like it's about time that we start to see this stuff coming to an end, because it truly is very vile that you have a whole bunch of companies who know that they can take advantage of people, and they're just going to laugh it off in the end. And I think that's absolutely gross and does not in any way, shape, or form
And
deserve
it's
to be here.
and it's sad that Steam has to do this. Someone, Legendary Drops, he's a YouTuber on YouTube who does a lot of well-informed gaming videos. I highly recommend you guys check him out. Legendary Drops also points out that like, sorry, my nephew's slightly distracting me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He points out that like, that Steam doesn't have to do this because they don't. The Valve doesn't have to do this, but they're forced to do this because of how rampant it's become a problem. Now, well, in his opinion, he thinks that the law, like the government needs to actually set laws in place, but in order for that to happen, a lawsuit has to be issued. From what he said, that in order to make actual laws against these kind of fraudulent things happening, like people have to be sued, it has to be taken to court, and then a law is passed in order to stop it from happening. And honestly, that just brings it kind of full circle around. Like, so it's up to the gamers to actually put their foot down, And have we been doing that? No, we have. I don't think we actually have. Not really.
I think it's because gamers haven't been as united up until about this last year. We're finally starting to see a lot of people start to like get into groups and stay in those groups and start to communicate via those groups. And I think that's probably like a very, very good thing that we're starting to see that. And I'm hoping, really hoping, that we're going to, have that in mass, at some point soon here. That would be very, very, very nice for that to happen. But I guess we'll see, because it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how that plays out.
Gosh, it just warms my heart though. It warms my heart to see that there is actual change happening. And I really appreciate that it's for the better of the consumers and not for the worst. That's what I really appreciate the most.
Right.
So did you want to talk about the the OG Mass Effect creators studios being
So
shut down?
yeah, it's just two. So two of them, Casey Hudson, and then another company. Both of them had Mass Effect spiritual successors come out, and unfortunately, both of them have closed up essentially, and that's very sad because we had an opportunity to have some really great games, but unfortunately, we're not really going to be having that come from either of those studios, which does make the game that we talked about before, the one from Archetype Entertainment, that is officially now, Exodus is officially now the only spiritual successor to Mass Effect, in the sense that, assuming that we don't get another Mass Effect. If BioWare manages to put out a Mass Effect and is really, really good, and we're going to see Exodus before we see theirs, so that's going to be very interesting.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
So
That actually makes me really
it's gonna
excited.
be, yeah, it's going to be
I can
really interesting to see that kind of like
I can
competition come up.
if gaming journalism is the same in the next couple years, I can just see the headlines now. We shouldn't be comparing Exodus with Mass Effect 5. I can see it now.
Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
didn't you say I also agreed with you because I think you said it or at some point. I think we were in a call, but you said that getting, was it Kickstarter funding, and like
yeah,
having people support you. I think that also, I agree with that. Larian Studios got to where they're at because they also got Kickstarter funded, and it was it their funding blew them out of the water, and they were able to make really great products, and now they're literally at the top of the RPG
Yeah, I
genre.
don't know why Casey didn't pitch it to the public. He's got a big enough voice that he could have said, "Hey, this is what we're working on. We need funding. We can't keep going like this." And then do a staggered release where you create the initial game, where you create the initial like first chapter of the game, and then you put that out, and then you keep tweaking it whilst you continue to make the rest of the game. I don't understand why either one of those studios didn't immediately do that.
Hmm.
And I think it's very foolish that they didn't, because the worst case scenario is that you swing and you miss, but just walking up to the home plate, looking at the pitcher and going, "Oh, I'm never gonna get this. I quit," and then just turning around, and walking away is like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, yeah, it was very surprising that they didn't opt for literally any of the thousands of choices that they could have done to carry it forward.
Mm. Stop That said this year scared lots of investors because of a lot of flops.
Oh
And
yeah.
for some reason I don't understand, and it really irks me to no end. It is the bane of my existence besides Cyberpunk 2077. But for some reason, it is popular to say that our single player RPGs are not trendy and they're not popular and they will lose you money. I don't know who the heck put that out there, but
I could tell you who put that out there. I know three of the people who were predominantly behind that line that showed up about 12, 13 years ago, because I'm in the same industry. I know of them. They are people who A, don't play video games at all. B, they're some of the most insufferable, arrogant assholes you will ever meet. They are absolutely full of themselves in the most insane ways possible. One of them came out and said, Bethesda's next game is going to be, now mind you, this was before the next Fallout game. This was right after Fallout 4 released. Bethesda's next game is gonna be an Elder Scrolls game. He didn't call it an Elder Scrolls game. He said Skyrim 2. Do you know how much money you had to pay to read that from his like special insider source? You had to pay $1,000 fucking.
1,000?
You had to
God,
pay $1,000 to
wow.
hear a guy who didn't understand that they had posted a game plan, and it's just like, wow, you people really are absolute idiots, aren't you? Like, you don't even know how to do your job. So yeah, that's the type of people. Why did they do that? Because basically, they
Because
were paid to.
yeah, I don't doubt it, because they were trying to was it? They were trying to subvert the I don't know why people think they can change the trends,
Yeah,
but they
subvert,
the customer,
subverting. Yeah,
yeah,
subverting the change in order to push a narrative that would profit companies like EA
yeah,
into making live service crap and foisting it on people.
yeah,
Gross.
like they were like, "Oh guys, single player RPGs, they're dead. Do you know what everyone wants? Multiplayer, constantly online, battle royale, looter shooters. Let's go. Everyone wants that." And that's what caused the trend to happen, because I saw it too. I was literally this was before I think before I started streaming, but I saw the shift where they were trying to push this narrative that single player RPGs are not viable. No one wants to play that. And I'm like, who the heck are you to say that? And then they're like, oh, but people want this. And I've seen a lot of people say, no, we don't want this. But they're like, trust me, you do. And it's like, no. And then you see it now, years later. Looter shooter online battle royales are dying left and right. They're losing support because no one's interested. But because they were sold a lie, investors were sold a lie, all that money was wasted. And now here we are. Investors are scared because they don't know who to trust, who to listen to. I don't know. Maybe listen to the freaking customers. Maybe actually invest in what the customers want to buy. Is that such a hard thing to understand? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Do investors not pay attention to what the customers want? Like, if you follow what customers want, they will literally lead you to gold. Can you not comprehend that? Like, it just baffles me, dude. It baffles me.
Mm-hmm. You're not the only one.
And so look, if you're possibly an investor somehow watching this, just follow majority of what customers want. If you invest in video games that customers are interested in, there is a market for it. Just trust me, there's a market for it. For some reason, executives have been fed lies. It's kind of hard to tell if you should even trust them at this point, but if you want to know where the gold is, just follow customers aching for a certain type of game, and then invest in it. They will buy it. Oh yeah, there was a article that I came across, and I think I told you about it, but the Veilguard director or producer, which of those, says that
it's the art director.
The art
and
director.
He's backed by the game director.
Okay. I don't think that makes it any better, but says that
Nope, makes it worse.
Says that, quote, we need to stop following trends which led to Anthem and Andromeda failure.
Oh, sorry.
And
I thought you were going to say the other quote that's been out.
What was the other quote? Wait, what was the other quote?
That quote is actually, I think you were originally correct. That is the executive producer. You're probably right on that, or the executive director. Yeah, no, that so BioWare has said we got to stop chasing trends, and I'm like, thank you.
But then Veilguard comes out. Comes out, and what have we learned from this?
So it depends on like I'm hoping that they said that, and that person was essentially on the team, not on the team for Dragon Age, because
either way, I don't know. I feel like even if it still shows a light that even if they were involved or not, it shows a light that it seems like they didn't actually pay attention to what they just said.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it. Like Dragon Age Origins, the game that is closest to that's had the most success. What's the game that is closest to Dragon Age Origins that has had the predominantly massive higher amount of success in the last few years? That's Larian, obviously, with Baldur's Gate 3, obviously. Baldur's Gate 3, who made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2? Oh, yeah, BioWare did that. Same office as the one that pumped out this slop. This slop, in comparison to the original thing, which was, Dragon Age Origins, they have done nothing but chase trends with that genre. Or sorry, not with the genre, with that IP. Yeah. With that IP, they moved further and further away from traditional CRPG mechanics, and closer to action phone game. Action phone game with a little bit of dialogue. There are like was it like Summoner's Kingdom, Summoner's War, those kinds of phone games, it plays closer to the kind of garbage slop that you have in Dragon Age Veilguard than you do in the traditional Dragon Age game. And it's just so crazy that it started at, and if I honestly think that if they had stopped chasing trends with all their stupid BS and trying to like, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that, oh, let's add this in, oh, people don't like the
Now,
this game because it's slow, boring, and you have to take turns. It's like if you guys had just kept with that, you would have been the game of the year, Larian Studios, the game studio that everybody is praising, that everybody can't wait for the next game on, because my God, the arrogance to take something that was very popular and to continually change it to being something that is basically chasing a trend of mobile fast action flip games is absolutely sickening. It is sickening.
there is actually someone actually pointed out that there is still. Okay, I want to point out. Okay, first of all, there's two things. What people tend to forget was that Veilguard, originally called Dreadwolf, which is an awesome ass name, might I add. It's a very great name that they changed it for no reason. Dragon Age Dreadwolf originally was rebooted multiple times. So technically meaning it has been only worked on for maybe a good couple years. Everyone keeps saying, you had 10 years to work on this game and this is what you got. No. It has been rebooted like 2 times. So they had less than 10 years. And if we're following the timeline, maybe around 2 or 4 years to work on it, which isn't a very long time. No. It's not it wasn't, at least not to, I don't know, it just feels like I'm spitballing. It feels like it was only worked on for maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. That's what it feels like from what I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of so some of it definitely they had some spillover in the form of like some of the, and that's why the some of the scenes and like the lighting and some of the interiors are as good as they are, is because they literally have been working on some of those for a very, 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 very long time. But the game mechanics, the general gameplay, the general experience is like, yeah, that there was the original vision was there and it was very good, and you had definitely a lot more choice and options and direction that you had now. There was very much an evil versus like good system. You can't be evil. You can't kill off any of your companions. You can't sacrifice them for another companion. All the things that you could do in the original Origin. You just they just moved away from that, and then they continue to move away from that. And yeah, I really can't stand where it is now, because you don't have that choice that you had. Like
someone also pointed out that you can actually see remnants of the multiplayer aspect, where you can see crates and banners and for Darkspawn, which was intended to be like another faction in the multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And they're still in the game. I guess no one took a closer look and just left it in there.
They just turned them off, and yeah.
It just reinforces what I believe, that they've only been working on it like not as long as we think they have.
Yeah. So EA came out, they wanted it to be, so they changed the original vision into the live service thing, where it was only live service thing. And then again, they changed their mind once they saw the writing on the wall, and that was like out of there. Oh, by the way, hello, Macindraws. So nice to see you here. I didn't even realize that was you until I did a double check. I was like, because I have your icon sitting on my Discord, and I kept on going, wait a second, that's on the wrong side of the screen. But hey, yeah, this is a fellow who created an amazing video that went super viral about what the art director said. so let's finish up with this topic, and then we'll very briefly go into that. I did do a video kind of putting out the insider info that I have. Everybody knows I've been connected in with Obsidian for a long time. You know, our first video on this channel was about Nuka-Cola. And I had gone and spoken to all of the creators from the original team that made Interplay, that made Fallout 1 and 2, and I got them to explain to me what their concept of Nuka-Cola was. And then from that, I literally created a recipe. We go through it, and it's one of the more popular actual recipes for Nuka-Cola out there right now, because I actually did like the research, and there's literally 21 different kinds of fruit flavor in it, which is the lore behind it. But yeah, I'm very well connected. I know a lot of what's been going on, and the only thing I can say is that I'm very depressed about the whole. I'm depressed both about, like, you know, BioWare and Obsidian, because
Yeah.
these are these are game companies that in one way or another, like, created most of the games. The novel that I'm writing, the main race in that is a direct nod to Mass Effect, and yet we're not going to have that. I really don't think we're not going to get a good Mass Effect game. I really don't think we're going to get a good Mass Effect game,
There's still
unfortunately.
Exodus. There's still Exodus. Don't worry.
Yeah,
We have to
we'll
wait.
get a good spiritual successor.
Yeah.
I think. There are some concerns that I do have with Exodus. I am very concerned with that, and I was really hoping that Casey's company would take would pull ahead here with this, but it seems like we're not getting it.
I don't know. I feel like he can make a
Yeah.
comeback. I don't know. I'm not totally throwing in the towel when it comes to people making, or at least spiritual successors to like
Oh yeah, no, we've
Mass
got
Effect and
all
stuff.
the time in the future, right,
Mm-hmm.
to see this stuff. But in this generation, we're probably not going to. Exodus is going to be the only thing that we're going to see in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
and
mean,
like, we're going to see the next Mass Effect game, but it's probably going to honestly be terrible as well.
yeah.
Like, honestly, is going to be terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
I don't think it's the same team that worked on Veilguard, but the
a lot of it's the same people. They've moved
oh no.
now.
Oh no.
Everybody at the BioWare Edmonton office is now currently working on the next Mass Effect game.
Oh goodness.
They're not doing any DLC for Dragon Age, and that's how you know it actually failed internally, is that they had no plans to support it going forward.
Yep.
And you're right, Dreadwolf and the original non-live service concept of the game was actually very, very, very good. And but part of the writing there, so the end mission, the last mission, that's all that writing is basically, that was all there from the original team that worked on it. A lot of them are not there anymore. So especially the writers who wrote the initial stuff for the Dreadwolf ending, which, I mean, some of those writers had written that stuff, that content, shortly after Inquisition.
I actually
Um,
heard someone who played the game. I haven't played the game yet, but someone who did play the game, Veilguard, they said that the writing is mostly like at the beginning of the game, but later on the writing gets a lot more better. And
yeah,
I was like, ooh, that makes me interested in playing the game, because and now that you say that, it makes me think, oh, so that's what the good writing was the previous original,
yeah,
story that.
the original idea before the live service. Then afterwards, when everybody did leave the company, and there was the skeleton crew left essentially, and they brought in a whole bunch of these very fanatical modern day progressive believers. They brought
Yeah.
in a whole bunch of them, and they took the story, they kind of cut out a whole bunch of stuff, they made a bunch of changes to it, they wrote in a bunch of new characters that weren't originally supposed to be there, and
Ugh.
and yeah, and I gotta say with this, the absolute idiots, like Elon Musk was right. If you're putting like top surgery stuff in your game, it's like, you're an idiot. Thanks for showing us how stupid you are when it comes to, you have magical healing in the game, and
You have
I do believe that.
You
there
have
was a
mages
mention.
that change into animals.
Yeah, yes. So in the original, I don't know if this was ever actually in the game, but I do remember sitting down one day. I was talking with Casey and a couple of the other people. Because I would normally go to the office in Edmonton, and I would normally like hang out with a bunch of them. And we were talking about they wanted to add a quest where you came across a potion that changed your gender and that just swapped you, and that you had this, like, it was supposed to be this kind of like humorous, kind of like funny experience where the player, it wasn't the main player, it might have been one of the companions, and they had this like experience, and it was really funny, and it was supposed to be like fairly comical, and then at the end they're like, well, I don't know, maybe I do prefer being like this. But they ran into some issues with the voice contract that made it so that they couldn't really like stick with it. um and so it never really got past the kind of the spitballing kind of idea
Mm.
concept stage. But you do have that in the original. So in the original Origins, Dragon Age Origins, there is a character who is called Golem, and the
Oh
story
yeah.
is very, very, very interesting. Golem started out as a female dwarf, and now they're literally a 7.5 foot tall stone monster, and with a very male voice. And the male, and he, once he finds out that how he was made and how his soul was stripped and how they used that to create the golem, he was genuinely kind of horrified, but also kind of like interested in like maybe seeing if there was a way that they could revert to back to being a dwarf, as female dwarf. And so there was stuff in this. The whole, hey, we came up with this storyline that mirrors current day issues in a magical world where there's actual magic. People say, hey, in a magical world, would you take the chance to, would you drink a potion? Would you use a magic wand to make a change? It's like, yeah, those things actually do work there.
Mm.
And it's not a like. And so that kind of stuff is just like, oh my god, it's like you had a way to discuss the topic in the magical world, but instead of doing that and
As
creating something that would actually be interesting, you tried to shove in modern day science and politics into this thing. And it's just
now
it's
as a fan of Dragon Age, I was gonna say Baldur's Gate. As a fan of Dragon Age, uh, I've played the games, and they have brought up the subject of transgenderism, with was it with the Golem? I forgot their name. With the Golem, and there was also Cremisius Aclassi. I remembered his name because I recently played Inquisition, and
Mhm.
Cremisius Aclassi is a trans man, and I didn't have a problem with Cremisius. In fact, Cremisius was actually very or Crem, sorry. Crem's actually a really good, great character. Like, he's a very strong character. They do delve into the was it? They do delve into the aspect of him being trans, and like how he talked to his, like how his dad accepted him, and how was it how Iron Bull, who is Krem's boss technically,
Mhm.
how Iron Bull sees Krem, like, and Iron Bull said that there is such thing as was it Kunari, or those horned people who
Mhm.
who change their roles, as it were, because the Kunari believe that what you're born as and what you do is set in stone, but they believe that but Iron Bull says that was it there are people who thought they were born female, but they were more suited for being a soldier and stuff, and so they were a certain Kunari word where they are a soldier, and no one sees them as female.
Yeah.
So it
I
is in the lore. Granted, some people
and
say that they changed the canon, and honestly, if
Oh
you go
yeah,
back
they
to Origins, they definitely did change the
they
canon. They were
they massively changed the canon for that. The
originally
Kunari
are
the
very
Kunari
they're very
originally.
sexist. They're very
Yes,
sexist and set
yes.
in their
I was
ways.
gonna say they were going to be like this hyper misogynistic, very, very like cruel. People, if you watch the trailer for for number two, and it's like it's very clear that the Kunari were being set up as tyrannical, controlling overlords essentially, and that they were naturally just extremely cruel and mean and heartless. It's
And it
like
and you can
that was
definitely
the
see it.
story.
You can definitely see it with Sten. In Origins, Sten is a
Mhm.
Kunari. Uh, if you have him in your party with with female characters, you will see like
Oh,
the Kyun from his eyes.
yeah,
He'll constantly question why women are here. He'll be like,
yeah,
why are women fighting? They should be at home taking care of children. Literally, I wouldn't say he says exactly that, but it's pretty much
yeah.
around
No,
that.
it's heavily inferred, and that storyline again. Like I talked to a lot of the devs over the years. I've really like communicated with a lot of them. It's like that was always supposed to be this like like it was supposed to be a point of order that magic is the great equalizer, and they had a lot more stories that they were going to chase with that, but people didn't understand nuance, I guess, and they didn't want to have a discussion about things, so it's just like
I
okay.
guess I honestly I feel like it's just a small percentage of people who don't understand nuance. I feel like majority of people understand nuance. It's only like a loud few who get
Mhm.
butthurt over it. But the reason why I brought up Creme is because it does lead back to Veilguard. So when they announced that they were making a Dragon Age 4, I honestly was really excited, obviously, because I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. I was wanted to know how the story would progress. There was a character that was hinted at in the credits called Mavericks Talani, and I was like, "Oh my god, she looks pretty." Okay. And I theorized that she was going to be a companion for the next game. And obviously I kind of got obsessed because she was a friend of Dorian Pavis, which is one of my favorite characters. So I kind of got obsessed. So I wanted to know more about her. And it turns out she's a trans woman living in Tevinter, in the Tevinter Imperium. And it was hinted at the from Dorian Pavis. He's a gay character. It was hinted at that being gay in Tevinter was bad because it did not fill the status quo, which have is to have children of good breeding stock that have exceptional magical ability. So him being gay subverts that, and he ended up becoming a pariah, and he had to leave his country. So you have a gay character who became a pariah. So you have a trans woman living in Tevinter. You can only imagine what's going on, like societal wise, of her being there. And I was very interested because I did see some glimpses here and there of her story, but I was so convinced that she was going to be a companion that I didn't really dive that deep into her backstory. Uh, but which is unfortunate because it turns out she's not even a freaking companion. She's just like someone who makes a cameo briefly and then leaves, and that just really that upset me because I really wanted I really wanted Mavis Talani to be there because she was very pretty, and I was like, can we romance her? Can she be like a romanceable companion? And then we
No.
get freaking Tash. We got Tash instead. I am so upset.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted Mavericks. And instead we
And
got this.
so originally when I was asking them and this was like over a decade ago. Um, this was after the first game had come out. When I was talking to them about like, oh, how does the whole like thing work with that? And they're like, oh, they use magic to like if you can use magic to regrow a limb, then you can use magic to and change into a spider. Then you can use magic to just change a gender. And there was another character that they were talking about adding, who had turned themselves into one of the monster types, and he or they had done a permanent change, like to be permanently a monster thing, and they were discussing whether it was going to be like accidental or whether there's going to be a cure for it. Again, one of those like spitball ideas that they never really got around to like implementing it, and that's a cool one. Like and that's a staple for like some fantasy of like having a character turn into a dragon or turn into a monster, and then they're cursed to live that way. And at first they're like, "Hey, this is cool. I can do whatever I want." But then the loneliness sets in, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't as fun as I wanted it to be." Um, so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. But instead of doing something that was cool, they decided, "Hey, let's do something that is not and is frankly kind of stupid." Honestly,
Yeah,
I
it's
really think it
the
boils down to that.
the problem with following trends is that they do want to try new things. There's nothing wrong with trying new things. The problem is
Hmm.
that they sanitized it to all hell,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
where it has no substance at all. And what annoys me is that they're like, "Oh, you guys just don't like new experiences from different perspectives." And it's like, that's not the issue. The issue is that you didn't handle it well. You guys
Yeah.
didn't write it out well. You guys didn't write it out well. It wasn't portrayed right. And because it wasn't portrayed with care, it no one vibed with it at all.
Yeah. All right. We're getting kind of late, so let's quickly go through a few more of these stories, and then we'll end off with the Avowed story because I have inside info. We'll try to get through these as quickly as we can. In the For the Avowed story, I did very quickly the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Mooney managed to cover a story, managed to do a podcast, kind of like a mini podcast, put it up. And so it's there. So if you want to check out the last video to this one, that's there. But very quickly, so Assassin's Creed. This story's been out for a little while. Assassin's Creed, one of the game directors announced that more than half of the studio was comprised of devs who had never made a game before.
That tracks.
Because
That tracks.
yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Yeah, yeah. Lots of newbie mistakes being made there. That's horrendous and horrifying in
Um,
so many categories.
I also have a couple more Ubisoft stuff because it never ends with Ubisoft. I just have
Yeah,
two more things.
yeah,
Ubisoft doesn't want Steam to show player count anymore
yep.
because I don't think, how did they not
They
think that
they
people would find out about
they
that?
they want to lie to you. They want to tell you, "Oh, we have 1 million people playing this game," when they know they have 50.
Yeah.
But they want to lie to you. And this is what I want people to really remember. Ubisoft is demanding that they be able to hide game player stats, and that those stats are not allowed to be out there in public. The only reason why you would want to have that is to lie to people, to manipulate people. That is the only reason for that. And Ubisoft, I mean, I kind of wrote them off the list a long time ago, but this shows you the scum that has always been there. These people, as far as the leadership goes, are vile. They are terrible people. Stop buying their games, please. They
Also,
are they are they are horrendously actually evil.
I want to add to that someone actually equated them hiding player count is equal to YouTube hiding the button. It
Oh yeah.
wasn't to protect YouTubers from bullying. That was not the
Yep.
case. They only
Nope.
did it because they got pressure from companies, because companies were butthurt. They got ratioed. So that's the
Yep.
reason why they got rid of the dislike button. So it's the same
Yep.
thing. On another note, new on in Ubisoft news, Ubisoft blocks access to the Avatar game. Like, you can't play the Avatar game until the customer
Mm.
buys the DLC. And apparently it's been going on for months,
Yeah.
which goes to show how popular that game is, because apparently no one even knew this was a thing that was happening
Hmm.
until I saw someone covering it. And so yeah. So Ubisoft made it where you can't even progress in the Avatar game that came out a while ago, the Avatar game, you have to buy the DLC. You have to.
Yeah.
Literally, an error message shows up and it says you have to buy the DLC.
Yeah.
So yeah, typical Ubisoft doing Ubisoft things.
So this was like when I heard it, I was like, yeah, yeah, no, that tracks. People forget that this was in one of the previous games, and it was very quickly brushed under the rug, and they just started selling the new versions of the game with the bundled DLC. And people forget that because again, Ubisoft has been vile for a very long time. Yes, they made some good games, but people lots of people don't remember that well over 12, 13 years ago, they were an absolutely vile company run by absolutely vile monsters. And you're seeing that now in the lawsuits that they've been having to deal with. It's like they had staff meetings in strip clubs
Oh
where
yeah. Oh yeah.
notable gangs were basically were basically were trafficking victims essentially.
Huh, I
It's
didn't hear
like
about that.
that. Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I don't think there's very many people who really understand how evil Ubisoft has always been. They from the get-go, they ran their company like a mafia.
Damn.
From the get-go, they were extraordinarily sexist. From the get-go, they mocked people who wanted to have like female main characters, female protagonists,
Oh yeah,
and they openly mocked them.
I still don't understand why they made that a thing. They're like, "Oh, the female counterpart of the game is the canon character." And I was like, "Okay, then just make her the main character. Why do you have to select the male or female character? Like just make her
Yeah.
the main character."
They're vile people. I understand that they've made some good games in the past, but like I cannot stand them. They have always been this way. They've always been vile.
Well,
All right.
on better news, Baldur's Gate 3 got a huge patch update.
In better news, Hasbro is getting a massive lawsuit and might be bought out by Elon Musk.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's the good news. That's the great
Wait,
news. The
what's
good news is that Larry and ES are putting out another free patch with 12 new classes and additional content. Oh my goodness!
they just don't quit.
They just don't stop, and it's free. And
You
you've got the Hexblade coming. You've got a bunch of other the Swashbuckler coming. This is stuff that we knew that I knew a long time ago. You can check some of the previous videos. I got in the word. Yes, we're getting this. We were promised one or two other things that we're not getting because Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast stupidity. But that's where the better news. Honestly, I think this is better news. Hasbro potentially being bought out by Elon Musk. Oh please, 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 please!
I
Can the gods of comedy line this up so it actually happens? This will be one of the greatest burns ever. Oh,
I
in
actually
gaming.
heard some pushback against it. Some people think that Elon Musk might actually make D&D worse if he buys it.
You so I said this on Twitter the other day. Somebody's like, "How dare you say that Elon Musk should buy Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro?" Wizards of the Coast has had about 90% of their employees have been fired, let go, and I would say abused as employees by Hasbro. You literally could get anybody to do a better job.
Oh wow.
Literally. At any point, you could literally get a worm and set up an algorithm like camera that watches it, and when it does certain activities, you do certain random things with the company. That would be better. A dog jumping on a keyboard would be better than the current Hasbro leadership.
Hmm.
Hasbro leadership, generally speaking, are one of the most incompetently idiotic companies that are currently out there today. That's why they're getting this massive lawsuit against them, by the way.
What is the lawsuit?
So they're getting sued because they basically lied to all of their shareholders about the worth of their company, about the products that they were coming out with,
Oh,
and a bunch of other
wow.
stuff.
Investors can do that? I didn't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah. So
investors should start looking into doing that with other companies. Just a
yeah,
thought. Just a thought.
good idea. But yeah, they basically lied a lot, and it's fairly provable currently right now. As soon as they finish going through discovery, it's going to be a lot worse. And again, they can the leadership of Hasbro has let an enormous amount of games, both physical and board games, stuff like that. They've let that stuff die constantly because they'd rather be proven right about some moral issue. And again,
Mm.
not like a good moral issue. No, 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 no. Hasbro is all about trying to make as much money the most slimiest way they possibly can. Because if they were interested in a good moral lesson, they would let the game studios that they work with unionize. That would be a good thing for a lot of studios. Is let them unionize. Let them all have a say in how they are running some of these companies. It's like I think for some companies that makes a lot more sense than the current system of like, hey, we hired this guy who has absolutely no experience in the games industry to make to guide us on what we're going to do for the next 5 years. Oh, we've burned through like $500 million worth of stuff and created a game that nobody played. Oh crap. Well, I guess we're in trouble then, and we have to lay off all of the employees who were telling us for the last few years that this was a terrible idea.
Wow.
So again, here you have like yes, Elon would do a 100% better job because literally a 5-year-old would literally do a better job than the current leadership there. And so like yes, yes please. And frankly, I think Elon Musk is I'm not like a super fan. I'm very realistic when it comes to a lot of stuff. I'm incredibly logical about stuff. It's like, is Twitter a better place today than it was, 5 years ago? Yes. Oh, but there's more hate on the platform. Yeah, that's called free speech. And yes, when you're a racist and you say racist stuff, people now know that you're a racist and they will avoid you if they're good people. It's like that's a good thing that we know where the crazy people are. I want to know where the crazy people are. Now, some people really argue with me on this point, but trust me, you want to know who the crazy people are. And the best way is to let them say that, hey, I'm crazy and I believe a crazy thing. It's like, good, good,
Mm.
good, good. We're never going to put you in charge of anything. Okay. like,
Uh,
like, that's great to know. I love to hear that. But frankly, the fact that, Twitter back in the day was running with this like 80-90% more employees, and he came in and he cut all that down, and the not only does the platform run better, it runs smoother. It's like, okay, yes, this is actually a good thing. The fact that he's also like, putting rockets up into space, delivering internet literally to me right now, and and revolutionizing the car industry. Again,
Making
all of these
androids. He made
all
android
of these
people. He made androids. Hello.
right?
He has
Like,
the time to help make androids with his company. We're in the
so
future. We're in the future.
yeah, yeah, we're in the future. The like this is a good thing. Need I remind you, NASA had basically stopped sending rockets up and had given that job to Russia. You know
Wow.
the you know the giant country that's killing off a whole bunch of innocent people right now? Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's not such a good idea. I don't know. Am I crazy? That giving our national security as far as like rockets goes to Russia? Is it flying all of our astronauts to Russia? I don't. Just the logic of this is just astounding to me. That some people are like, no, he's evil. It's like, or he's doing a good job. Like, I mean,
I
so
mean,
yeah,
it comes
I
into
think
question about a monopoly because he is
yeah.
buying a lot of stuff, and
Well,
like it is in, I would say it would be in good faith, but it also is like, well, is it okay for one person to buy up all this stuff, but another organization is not, it's not okay for them to do that. Like it
So
brings into
you're
question.
and you're always going to have that, right? Like you're always going to like we don't actually live in a proper like democracy. We don't actually live in a proper people say, oh, socialism is like, it's like no, because there's people. I live in Canada, and our government definitely plays games with like who gets the favor, who doesn't get the favor, who has their bank accounts seized and who doesn't have their bank account seized. It's like I don't like that, and it's terrifying. I don't like censorship. I don't I, but really at the end of the day, we're not going to have there's no perfect system. Like the only perfect system that I can think of is running it through kind of an AI that decides, that legislates and like works out ways how to do everything. And I've seen Terminator. That probably is going to end very, very badly. I'm just gonna
Um,
throw that out there.
Gentlestone said, except he shadow bans anyone who dares speak against Lord Elno. It's just a
I
different
think
type of censorship. Yeah, I know he means Elon.
so again,
I don't
I
know.
know
I don't
that
know if that's true, but it is. If it is
I
true,
don't
that
think
also brings up another discussion of
I,
what is okay and what is not
we
okay.
we know somebody who hates Elon because he couldn't write death threats against Russians, and he was very upset about that.
Wait, what?
Um,
What?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. It's I understand, and I understand the fear of like the censorship, and yes, that's a serious problem. The fact is that we need a very like disconnected system that has way more checks and balances. We need to not have giant mega corporations do things, but when you can take the win, and and Hasbro being owned by anybody other than who it's currently owned by and run by, anybody would be better than what it currently is right now. Because currently, right now, you're watching the slow death of D&D. You're watching these people come out and slander a dead man with absolutely vile stupidity, conflating fantasy with, oh, well, he supported slavery because he had it in the video game, or he's writing a story about why, yeah, and then giving you the opportunity to fight against it. The insanity behind this is just mind-boggling.
I
It's like
think they would
you
very
have
much
to have a
enjoy Veilguard. I think they'd enjoy
prob-
Veilguard, where
problem.
where you cannot make any bad choice ever. You're always the good guy.
Yeah. So I like I think yes, I think it is. I would rather trust him than I would the current company, of course. And nobody else is really interested in buying them out right now. So unless you can suggest a better person that literally has the
No
money
one
and the
wants to
interest
buy
to
them.
buy something out,
No one wants to buy them. That's
literally, well, that and
no
again,
one. Oh
that's
god,
part of
that is
the
so
problem that they're
bad.
facing,
That is so bad. Oh god.
right? And that's part of the current problem that they have with the lawsuit, is that they overinflated their stock, they overinflated their worth. They've been lying about the toy brands that they've been making. They've been lying about a bunch of other stuff, and they're about to run into a wall at very high speed. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, yeah, Elon's your best hope, my guy. Elon's your best hope. Like, oh my
yeah,
goodness gracious. Just take the payday. Just have Elon give you a fat paycheck and then just go on your way.
yeah.
Because, oh my
So
god.
now let's move on to so yeah, so that we got. Okay, I
You
think,
wanted to talk
yeah,
about
we've covered everything. So
what?
about director,
Yeah,
art director,
yes.
uh came out, said some stuff,
Oh god, not
including
Disney. Don't say that, Gentlestone. Not Disney. Sorry, go on.
oh, not Disney, please, not Disney. Disney has already ruined pretty much every childhood memory I have. Like, yeah. Um I know sites that make Japanese adult content that has violated my childhood
Oh
memories
no.
less than Disney has. So yeah. Anyways, uh, Avowed's art director claims to be, basically running the company more or less. Claims to be, just very much in control of everything. Claims that he is, that he's basically this white savior who's going to come in and save specifically black people by helping them to eventually replace him. That his words.
Doesn't that sound
He
nice? That sounds
he
nice,
made
doesn't it?
that tweet. Yeah, he got really angry at Elon. Yes, Elon, we're talking about him again. He got really angry at Elon because Elon said, some stuff about video games, that he didn't like these ideas that are creeping in all over the place. And he goes, oh, I've made Elon Musk upset. I'm so happy right now. I can't you don't understand how happy I am to make him and people, all the crusty white dudes out there angry because I'm replacing them in video games. It's like, first of all, that's an unhinged rant. If you're happy that your product is pissing off a random billionaire, you have some seriously like wrong like priorities in your head. And if you're even more happy that you're pissing off, the vast majority of the user base that buys your products, you're also crazy. Or, and this is what we covered in the other video, or he's lying about basically all of that. I'm sure he still hates those people, but he's not actually a good person like he thinks he is. When you come in and you are like, "Hey, black people, you can't do anything without my help," and then he identifies himself as the savior in the situation and tells them, "Come to me, and I will make everything that you do better." I could not imagine being that arrogant, that absolutely like self-deluded with your own power. And then and this is what we did. So we started to investigate. I was like curious. I was like, how many black people has he actually helped to hire? Because he said this a few years ago. So by now he's got to like, he's got to have a lot of people working at the studio. No, three.
Three?
And those were there before he said those comments. So this guy claims to be in charge of hiring, claims to be like, this amazing white savior, and he's literally made no change in the company. Its company is still like 98% white.
Ah.
So I'm just curious, are you bad at your job, or are you a pandering, virtue signaling asshole who is trying to basically dunk on people that he has political beef with?
What do they call it? Performative activism?
Performative activism is probably the best word that you could say for this. Absolutely, 100%. I think this is performative garbage. I looked around. I asked some people. Never once has anybody said, Matt Hansen over at Obsidian, they really helped me, become this amazing person, and they really upped my art quality. None of that. I couldn't find it, and as far as I could find, nobody came onto his feed, his social media feed. Nobody came on to confirm that. This guy is lying, and he's possibly doing it because one of the things that we found out is that he really doesn't. He's not well liked at the studio. Everybody thinks he's a blowhard. That's reported from a number of people now, and they're just afraid to say something because Microsoft is a terrible place to work at, generally speaking. Um, but yeah, turns out, strangely, weirdly, that most of their bonuses are based off of how well the game sells outside of Xbox.
Wow.
So if he tanks this game's reputation, all those people, all the little people, all the not team leads at the company, they won't get a very big bonus, but he'll still get his bonus. So
Wow.
so basically my kind of theory is that he's doing this. He's showboating.
What a
Trying.
JA. I can't say it,
Yeah,
but you know what I
yeah.
mean. Like what a BS, dude.
So he's trying to basically tanks. He's sabotaging the game's release in the hopes that it will fail, and
Mhm.
that a whole bunch of his coworkers who don't like him will all suffer and not get the money that they were promised by the big mega corporation that is Microsoft.
And this is a man who
So,
claims who cares about minorities. What
oh yeah,
about the
oh yeah,
minorities who actually work there? What are
yeah.
you
Well,
doing to them?
he doesn't care about any of them. And then final
Obviously.
point on this, and I said this in the other video, is like you are a sadist if you think that going to people right now and telling them, "Hey, go work in the AAA games industry" is a good idea. I mean, you are just a sadist. You are lining how many 100,000 people lost their job in the last 12 months, 18 months in the games industry. 100,000 people have lost their jobs because studio giant corporate AAA gaming doesn't know how to do a damn thing. And you're telling them, "Hey, come work in this department. It's really great, I promise you. Move here, uproot your life, go to a different city, go to a different country, work for a different company that's going to fire you in a month." Because that's what happened to thousands and thousands of people over the last year. And he's sitting here going, "Oh yeah, and control Gnutulstone. I do not know how to pronounce your name,
Gentle
dude.
Stone.
Gentlestone. Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. The whole my game thing is just mind blowing. Yeah, yeah, mind blowing garbage. Yeah, yeah. The fact that he calls it his game and all these devs. I talked to a lot of devs over the last couple of days, and they all said the same thing. We're just trying to make a good game. We don't want to be political. We don't want to be, obstructing. There's this famous saying that a guy once said that, a very famous guy in the States, a really cool person. He said that everybody buys shoes. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, everybody does buy shoes. And turns out that maybe you don't want to, tell somebody who's looking for a new shoe, "Hey, I sell shoes, but I'm not selling it to you because you're a piece of garbage and I hate you and I hope you die." It's like, what? Okay, I'm not shopping with you. And then you turn around to the other people in your company who are trying desperately to make ends meet, and they go, "Well, we just lost another sale." And you're like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, I told him. Screw
Yes.
them." It's like that's literally what he's doing, and it's psychopathic. And
I
the
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
go on. Oh,
no, no, no. I could talk about this for an hour, but I already did a half an hour
I
talking on this. So
I hope that the game is given a fair shake, even despite what this one person said. Because uh, even though there's a lot of controversy behind it, people do realize he's just one person on a team. And
mhm.
it seems like he's the only one spouting this BS. And luckily, in the game industry, word of mouth goes a long way. So once the game is out, I believe it will get a fair shake, even despite this man's all the crud coming out of his mouth. I feel like people will still, don't get me wrong, there are people who might sensationalize the game, like try to spin it in a way that isn't fair. There are people who will do that, but the majority of people will give it a fair shake, I believe. So I'm curious to see what people say about it. I still don't know if I'm willing to play that game. I don't know if it's my type of game. I mean, it is my type of game, but the way that it's like first person, I don't know if I'm cool with that. But I don't know. I'll give it a fair shake if it comes out, and if people say it's good, then I'll give it a try. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I want to say that um, I do want the game to be good because I love a lot of people at Obsidian, And yes, a lot of them have moved on, and I'm afraid of this tearing the company apart and staining those people with a reputation that they don't deserve. It's absolute arrogance to say some of the things that he's been saying, and I genuinely hate it. I really do. I think it's disgusting. I think it's terrible that he is making these terrible statements for the sake of his own pride, essentially, and
Yeah.
that's so gross and icky. That
Well,
like he yeah,
they
it's a
yeah.
terrible situation, and I hope it's fixed.
Yeah, people aren't as dumb as some people think they are. Like they think that gamers are dumb. We're not. We can see right through his BS. We know he's trying to tank the game on purpose. No, not like I said. Some people are actually going to take what he says at face value, but a lot of people pointed out that he's just one man on a team of a lot of developers dedicated to the game. So just keep that in mind.
Um, Stop that in the chat. You don't. It's not a smart plan. It's a really like. I mean, it's a suicidally dumb plan because he's going to if he ever says once, yeah, I tanked that game and everybody lost out except for me and my boys. If he ever says that to anybody who could hire him ever in the future, nobody would hire him. You doesn't matter if it's your best friend. You would never hire somebody who burnt down a company because he had a bad feeling one day. Yeah, so Mac and Draws, I really suggest you go check his video out, please, please, please. He did a really good job covering this. I am Mac. Can you quickly send me a link to your video, and I will post it in the chat, please. If you do that, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up right now. But yeah, the just the general like. Yeah, just the general stupidity is just gross. It's just gross. But it's not like he's super brilliant. It's not like he's doing this uh, with a brilliant take on it. He's definitely doing this in a very aggressive, terrible way. Um, and Makini, I think that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm really terrible pronouncing basically every name that's ever been created. So I very much apologize for that. I think I do have your video link. So I've got an ad. Right, great. So that's fun. But yeah, no, I think it's just generally speaking, it's kind of like stupid and crazy. Um, it's not something that requires a lot of intelligence. It just requires a malicious mind. And I'm gonna say this is like if you've ever worked in a company where there's malicious like intent of people,
Um, well, this is weird.
what
Uh, I think I can actually pull it up. Hold on, let me show. Let me try to show.
his video.
Yeah, hold on. I know
I've got the link.
it's not the video. It's something I came across.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can show it. Let's see.
Scythe. Oh yeah, no, that's a good way of spelling scythe.
I came on to their channel to subscribe, and it is great. I can't subscribe.
You can't click. You can't click what?
Oh wait, cause it's on your thing. I'm dumb. It's because it's on your thing. I'm stupid. Never mind, guys. I'm dumb. I'm partially blonde. Don't pay attention to me. I'm partially blonde. I'm 1/4 blonde. My bad.
Yeah. So McKinney is oh yeah, because you're on our main channel. Yeah. You're logged into our main account right now.
Okay.
So yeah.
I was like, why can't I subscribe?
Because we're already subscribed.
Ah.
It's also kind of weird that it's showing you that in yeah. Yeah, that's kind of wonky. But yeah, he is now I think like 90 people away from hitting 3,000 subscribers.
Hey, congratulations.
So, yeah, so he's doing really great. And his video has got 16 over 16,000 views in the last 2 days. So yeah, if yeah, so we're gonna try and we're gonna give the shout out, see if
Oh
get a
yeah.
couple more people subscribing.
Okay.
He's got great art, by the way. I want him to do the art for my book, so I'm gonna try and convince him of that. We'll see how that goes. He's very busy, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's
Saib. This is Scythe. His name is pronounced Scythe, but I annoy him by calling Sigatha. He is my mod on Twitch and a mod on my Discord. So if you
oh
ever
good.
feel like annoying him, just call him Sigatha. Because he doesn't know how to spell Scythe properly.
Oh, so you're doing that intentionally?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes
Because
sense.
when he first showed up in my chat, I didn't know how to pronounce his name. I was like, Sigatha? Like, is that how you pronounce it? He's like, no, it's Scythe. And I'm like, how am I supposed to get it when it's spelled not even Scythe? So there. I was just,
McKinney, I've been posting your video everywhere that I can, telling everybody to like go over and like sub to you, because you do got great stuff, and it's and you made a very valid point, and I want everybody who like this story, what this Matt
oh,
guy at
damn.
Obsidian said, what he said is just like, yeah, please go listen to what um, McKinney says on this, because McKinney has a viewpoint that's different than mine. It's different from yours. It's different from most everybody's, and he will tell you exactly what he feels about this guy saying this kind of stuff. So yeah, check that out and definitely give him a like and sub. And yeah, we're gonna have you on to guest as soon as things calm down, because I know life is not calm for you right now. But we'll have you on as a guest here, and we'll chat about art and other stuff.
Oh,
This
yeah.
this news day was so packed. Oh my goodness, it's been an hour and it's been an hour and a half, guys. Whew. Hour pushing out 2 hours and 40 minutes. Pushing 2 hours 40 minutes. Good lord.
Oh, boy.
Um,
We're a bunch of
yeah,
yappers.
yes we are. So, all right, that does it for today. Is there anything you want to add?
Um, no, I guess I'll just do my usual outro. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. My name is Lady Reaver. I have you can find me on Twitch and on YouTube. Uh, and yeah, on Twitch I stream every weekend, and on Sundays we do the Maximum News podcast with Scythe. Sorry, not Scythe, Sybe.
So we are going to be upping the content that we're doing on the channel. I know we've been kind of like we've been kind of in maintenance mode for a while here. We have a whole bunch of new interviews that I'm lining up. I have an interview with another author, so we're going to be talking about villains and some authoring stuff. As always, we are a pretty variety filled channel. We come up with and we cover a ton of different stuff. And I just want to thank you all for subscribing and watching and staying with us for so long. It's been many years now, and the fact that we're hitting where we at, we're like we are hitting close to drum roll. We are approaching our 28th million view.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully, yeah, 28 million. A lot of people sometimes they look at the channel and they go, oh, you guys are like, not all your videos get like lots of subs. It's like, yeah, but we make a lot of videos, and we have a lot of like video, like people watch videos that we posted like 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 8 years ago, 9 years ago. We have people that continue to watch those videos, specifically coming back to them over and over again to get guides and stuff. So we just super appreciate all the support, all the love. And yeah, we're going to be upping the content that we're doing. We're going to be covering more stuff. I am launching in 2025. I am launching my new book series, and considering that our last book did well over hit the top 100 for Amazon, we're pretty stoked for this new series. I think a lot of people will like it. It's not for everybody. No fantasy book is, but definitely looking forward to that. I'm really excited to share that with you once we get a little bit closer to it. And yeah, we're pushing the final. We're pushing the final. Like we're starting to like look at like, you know, end date stuff, and so I'm really excited about that. And then Ash is working on more books, and of course he's got the Sonometry channel. If you are a big fan of Futurama, go check out Sonometry. Links will be on the channel, the main channel, and stuff like that.
Also, I also forgot to say I finally reached my 500 follower goal on Twitch, and we're actually going to celebrate with karaoke. So if you guys want to catch that stream, it's most likely going to be this Saturday or coming up Saturday. And yeah, really excited about that. Hope to see you guys there.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope. Was there anything else?
Nope, no, that's it. I will hopefully be there on Saturday to watch that stream, and help in whatever way I can. Unless, of course, the Eastern Seaboard is on fire, in which case I will not. So that's usually how that goes. New job. Normally take couple of the winter months off, but I definitely can't do that this year. Definitely not doing that this year. I will definitely be out in the cold responding to emergencies at some point. So, yeah.
She's really good. She's a really good singer, trust me. Yes, thank you, Sai. Thank you for being my hype man. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Hope to see you guys next week. Is definitely going to be a doozy. I hope you guys have a good day or night, wherever you are. And goodbye. Goodbye.